In the late 1970s, Afghanistan stood at the edge of chaos. The Communist People's Democratic Party of Afghanistan had seized power, but internal rivalries, brutal purges, and widespread unrest were tearing the country apart. Moscow watched nervously as its southern neighbor slipped further into instability. When Afghan leader Hafizullah Amin began eliminating rivals and showing signs of independence from Soviet control, the Kremlin decided that influence was no longer enough. Direct action was required. That decision led to Storm-333, one of the most audacious and violent covert assaults ever carried out by the KGB. By 1979, Amin had consolidated power through fear. Thousands were imprisoned or executed, and rebellion spread across the countryside. Worse for Moscow. Soviet intelligence suspected Amin might seek closer ties with the United States or pivot away from strict loyalty to the USSR. Whether those suspicions were fully accurate mattered less than the perception. To the Soviet leadership, Amin had become a liability. The plan was radical: remove Amin and replace him with a leader loyal to Moscow. But this would not be done quietly through politics or pressure. Instead, it would be achieved through a lightning assault at the heart of Afghan power. Amin resided in the Tajbeg Palace, a heavily fortified complex overlooking Kabul. It was protected by elite Afghan guards, machine gun nests, armored vehicles, and layers of security. Any attack risked massive casualties and international exposure. Yet Soviet planners believed speed and surprise could overcome the defenses. The operation combined KGB special units and elite Soviet forces. The most critical role fell to KGB Alpha Group and Zenith Group, highly trained counterterror and assassination units. They would be supported by Soviet airborne troops disguised in Afghan uniforms to avoid immediate detection. On December 27, 1979, the operation began. Earlier that day, Soviet agents attempted to poison Amin during a dinner. The attempt failed. Amin became ill but survived, reportedly receiving treatment from Soviet doctors who were unknowingly stabilizing a man marked for death. With poisoning unsuccessful, Storm-333 moved to its final phase. As night fell, Soviet armored vehicles and trucks rolled toward the palace. At approximately 7 p.m., the assault teams launched their attack. The palace erupted in gunfire. Tracers cut through the darkness as Soviet commandos stormed the gates under intense fire. The defenders fought fiercely. Afghan guards used heavy machine guns and RPGs, turning the palace grounds into a killing zone. Soviet forces suffered heavy casualties within minutes. But the attackers pushed forward relentlessly, room by room, floor by floor. Inside the palace, chaos reigned. Communications collapsed. Explosions tore through hallways. Alpha Group operators moved with brutal efficiency, clearing resistance at close range. Within less than an hour, the palace was fully under Soviet control. Hafizullah Amin was found inside. Accounts differ on his final moments, but he was killed during the assault. His family members were also slain in the fighting. With Amin dead, the objective of Storm-333 was complete. Almost simultaneously, Soviet forces across Kabul seized key government buildings, radio stations, and military installations. By dawn, the Afghan government had been decapitated. Babra Karmal, a Soviet-backed leader, was installed as the new head of state. The world reacted with shock. Storm-333 marked the opening act of the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. What was intended as a swift intervention became a decade-long war that drained Soviet resources, cost tens of thousands of lives, and contributed directly to the collapse of the USSR itself. From a tactical standpoint, Storm-333 was brutally effective. The palace was taken, the target eliminated, and control established in hours. But strategically, it was catastrophic. The operation ignited resistance across Afghanistan and drew the Soviet Union into a conflict it could not win. Storm-333 remains one of the most chilling examples of intelligence-led regime change. It demonstrated the raw power of special operations, but also the limits of force when political reality is ignored. The assault shocked the world not just for its violence, but for what it unleashed: a war whose consequences still shape global history today.